I think overall, there's a lot of people that were concerned about scholarships, and then on the collegiate side, the NCAA granting the extra year, the super senior year, in some cases. And I think a lot of people that kind of bothered them or pressed them, especially those in the 21 class or the 20 class too, since they really got hit hard because right when COVID went down, that's when the travel ball season would have been started, and got started a little later on in July, and you didn't have your big circuit events, which made your independent events that much more important, and the coaches were not able to come out. So a lot of it was strictly live streaming, that they were able to look at you and go about you. And so it changed for that 20 class. I also just felt like it kind of put some guys in some places to, what are you working on? Have you showed your development? What have you worked on? Gyms were open. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? There were places to play. There were places to work out. I know for a fact Walmart and Target sold a lot of basketball goals. So a lot of, backyard stuff was going on. But, those who wanted to work worked. And then when places were allowed to open back up, I believe that, they kind of came in and went hard. And some 20s, they fell through the cracks. Some 21s felt like their recruiting was, I guess, kind of stunted, but they've been okay now since we've had a somewhat normal live period. So I just think it just was an adjustment on everybody's part, everybody being players, event directors, as well as coaches and trainers.
Yeah, I think when I go to a lot of places, a lot of different markets and different regions around the States, check, mic check 1 2, check, mic check 1 2. Okay, we're gonna see if I can get my dude back up in here. You still with me, Joe?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, my bad. Calls and different things is coming in. I got you blacked out on the screen right now, so I'm trying to tighten you up. There you go, coming back in. As I was saying, a lot of have different conversations with a lot of different people in different regions around the United States, and I tell them how Georgia is. At first, I was saying arguably. Now it's trending towards the direction of inarguably the biggest hotbed of high school basketball to an extent. I know you got some others out there, but just talk about what has gotten it to be that way. Has it always been that way? You've been here, living here for quite some time, and maybe Georgia not necessarily getting the kind of respect that maybe it deserves when it comes to high school basketball. We get it, high school football, college football, all that kind of stuff, but you get some really good products that come out here around from around this part of the neck of the woods. And they go to some pretty big time programs too, and they're pretty highly ranked. Talk about some of those particular reasons behind why you believe that is, and Georgia maybe not getting the respect that it may deserve.
I think Georgia gets the respect right where it is. I think inside of Georgia, people think it's a little better than it is. You have to understand Georgia is a big state. It is the the first largest state land-wise east of the Mississippi. The second one, including water, would be the Mitten in Michigan. So it's a big state. The basketball, though, honestly, is concentrated in the Metro Atlanta area and those 13 counties that are around Metro Atlanta. And then you have other counties it's very popular with DeKalb and Gwinnett and Fulton and Cobb specifically. Georgia is a football state, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because I'm a basketball guy. I'm originally from here. I've moved away twice and came back twice. So I've lived in different parts of the country where the basketball is better. The DMV is better. Chicago is better. Georgia is better than Illinois as a state, but Chicago is better than Georgia overall. When you want to break it down like that, the DMV, smaller area, basketball is just a lot different. And here in Georgia now, with the influx of the success that individuals have had with the media attention that is garnered. And, it's a transient state. It's a popular spot. You've got one of the busiest airports in the world that's here. So, and you have facilities in and around the area that provide open doors and parameters. It's the capital of the South. And I compare it to Atlanta Braves baseball. There's not a professional baseball team anywhere near the Braves. You got to go 7 hours south to Tampa. And then if you go out west, Houston is the first baseball team. And if you go north, it's Cincinnati. So all of that, you can take a look at it from a basketball standpoint to give you the vast region of the Southeast. But Georgia basketball is coming along, and it's a transient state. So you have a lot of people that move here when they were younger or come from basketball areas, be it New York or Chicago or, DC, and it is up the ante of basketball. But Georgia basketball, honestly, if you're not recruiting Georgia, I don't care if you're in the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 or whatever it's called now, the Big 12, if you're not recruiting Georgia, if someone's not here, then you're not trying to win, because there is enough talent here. And even if they're not from Georgia, the events are here. And so those teams are coming from Texas and California and from Kentucky and from Indiana. So you're going to be able to find talent in the state of Georgia. So you have to recruit the state, and then you have to come recruit in the state.
Obviously, much of what you said is so true, and I couldn't really disagree with it myself or say it any better than you just did. Joe Hillsman, SUVTV, play-by-play broadcaster, grassroots specialist, Georgia high school basketball insider, the whole nine. You see it down there on the ticker to make sure you go and give him a follow. Always posting some really good stuff, and been around these kids and been around these programs and all these different gyms on a regular. So if you're there and you bump into him, you see, hey, I see a familiar face, then yeah, that would be the reason why. When it comes to some of the programs around here, around Metro Atlanta, when you start talking about your different ones, like your Norcross and your Wheeler, and there's probably so many of them, that's just two of them to name a few. A lot of people come to me and they say, hey, you know what, Deshaun, I need to know who the next up and coming guys are. I need to know who's going to be that team or those teams to keep an eye and ears open for as we get closer to basketball season starting. Obviously, we had that opportunity to look at some of these guys. I'm like, I'm going to bring on Joe Hillsman. I got to get this dude on here to kind of educate the people a little bit more in depth than what I can provide for them. Who are some of those players within some of those programs, and maybe some that not many people are talking about that they can look forward to seeing when the fall rolls around?
Well, first, I always say you have programs, you have schools that have programs, and then you have schools that have teams. And sometimes those teams get good. And then when they're not good, they're not good. And then you have programs where you expect them, or they're going to be in conversations year in and year out. You mentioned Wheeler, you mentioned Norcross. Milton is another one of them. Pebblebrook, in and out. Grayson has had much success. Sandy Creek has had much success. Woodward Academy has had much success. You're going to hear those names often because A, they're programs. B, they have solid talent. And then D, they're going to play on a national level or play a very heavy schedule. And I'm a schedule person. I will always be a schedule person. There are a lot of good teams in Georgia. There are a lot of good programs. But are you taking the next step schedule-wise? Are you trying to get into big events, or are you just trying to have all your home games, have a glossy record going into the playoffs, and then get beat when you see somebody? I'm a firm believer in beating who you're supposed to beat, and how do you perform against even, equal, or greater competition. Peachtree Ridge this year with Jordan Griffin coming over, that's going to be a team and a program that you'll need to watch. He just came over from Dutchtown, spent 2 years there, won a state championship his first year, then was a semifinalist his second year. Eagles Landing and Elliott Montgomery, he's a DMV guy. Now he's been down here at Eagles Landing, has got him a state championship this past year. AJ Barnes and David Thomas, they're just juniors. So they're about to be a very, very, very dominant program in 5A. Tri-Cities won them a state championship a few years ago. They got Simeon Cottle at the guard spot. They brought over LaDon Pate at the guard spot. Coach Omar Forts, who's got Florida roots, plays with that 3-guard lineup. And they just was able to come and get Eltramon Smith over from Sandy Creek. He made the move, and now they want to see if they can get him going. He's a lefty, so he's already got that advantage. Those are 5A. Cedar Shoals and 4A made a run last year. Westover made a run. They're going to have to change some things. Spencer now has a new head coach out of the Columbus area, and Coach Allen, who was at Columbus, but now takes over as the co-AD and as the head basketball coach at Spencer. And Spencer had a very, very good season. They've got a lot of good players coming through the pipeline in Columbus. So if you look around, you'll find plenty of teams that are very good. Even, Pace Academy, a private school, but they play into a very, very tough region that they play in. 3 of the Final 4 teams in Class 2A came from that region. Dr. McQuarrie over at Columbia, they're going to make noise. Lovett has Chris Anderson Jr., who a lot of people are falling in love with. They're going to be in the mix. So you can go down all of the classifications. Everybody talks about 7, and rightly so. Bigger classification. We know bigger doesn't necessarily mean better, but even Wheeler, they're a 6A squad, and they're not in 7A. They'll be moving back to 7A. Green Forest, a laundry list of players that have been successful at the high school level, into college, and now a couple of pros, and of course some that'll be playing on the Nigerian Olympic team or have a shot too. But anywhere you go, St. Francis is very good. They're concentrated areas, and then there are places where you can get players and get them to buy in. Savannah is a wonderful hotbed for basketball, wonderful talent there. Now, there are always other factors that prohibit those things, but Savannah is routinely talented year after year after year after year. Windsor Forest is going to be very good this year. Woodville Tompkins and Coach Lenny Williams does an excellent job. Didn't make a run last year. He lost some talent. He hasn't brought a state championship there, but they're going to be in the mix. Thomasville, Coach Tillman, going into his 14th year. Hey, Reggie Perry is in the NBA now, and he won him a state championship there at Thomasville. So they've been very good. Brunswick has always been a consistently good team. They're going to consistently be there in the playoffs. Coach Turner has done a wonderful job there. They've won state championships there. So I could just crisscross all of the state for you. And even up in Towns County, which is up near the North Carolina line, that community now is embracing basketball. They made a run. They made a run all the way to the state championship in 1A, and they won it. And they won it with very, very key players. Jake McTaggart, one of their big players, playing with the Atlanta Celtics during the travel ball season. He's gone and transferred back to Hayesville. But what he did in coming from Hayesville to Towns County, got on the Georgia map, played quality competition, then played with the Celtics during the travel ball season, got his offers up. Now he's gone back to Hayesville. That's just Hayesville. That's just the effect of what they're able to do. Rabun County is playing better. So there are different pockets in the state of Georgia that are always going to be good. Macon has its talent. Columbus has its talent. Albany has its talent. It's just there's talent, and then there's teams, and then there's programs, and you have to put all of those together, and you make a run. And I'm like I said, I'm a big schedule guy. If you play tough teams, I don't care who you are, you don't have to go undefeated to win the state championship. All you got to do is win 5 games in a row at the end of the year. That's all you have to do. But how are you preparing? How are you using the 25 games that you're allotted to prepare to make that 5-game streak run?
Talk to me about what you've seen over the course of this past weekend, where obviously you had some of the on the radar stuff going on. Big ups to my dude Sean Williams over there, who's running that particular showcase. Some of the Super 6 stuff was going on, obviously, McEachin High School and things like that. Of course, there is the big time shoe circuits, if you will, the Nike EYBL taking place, Peace Jam coming up later on in the week. Who are some of the top performers and or maybe some of those programs on the circuit that you want to keep a close eye and open for? Because I've heard about TSF and Skills Factory, a little bit about Core 4. I'm always going to show some love to Team Dickerson, some of the independents, but then you got some of the ones that people are a little bit more known for. Georgia Stars amongst some others, regardless of the particular circuit. Who are some of the ones that you're kind of keeping your eyes on? Because you're in so many gyms, you can't you can't split your body up. I'm like, how is Joel literally like everywhere? You can't cut your body up in different dimensions and pieces and be everywhere. Who have you been kind of paying attention to over the course of the last week or two in the live period, and then going into the final week of it this weekend?
The funny part about it, this weekend I was not in the gym. I did not go in the gym at all this weekend. I'll be in the gym all this weekend, the next 2 weeks, but I took this one.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on, Joe. So you mean to tell me, like, I'm about to literally go play my lottery tickets and get my life right with the Lord, bro? Because when Joe tell me that he ain't been in the gym, that tells me that he knows something that don't nobody. Talk to me about that. That don't sound right. I'm almost ready to check the temperature.
sometimes you just have to pick your spots. You got to know when to pull up for the three, and you got to know when to dish it off. And this was a dish it off weekend. No, okay. I got close to going, but a lot of by this time, I've kind of seen who I need to see or kind of know what I need to know. I could have went to the gym and seen something that I hadn't seen, but this weekend was more of a relaxed, chill weekend, and a lot of the focus is on the 17s and the 16s. I spent a lot of time looking at the 15s and taking notes on the 15s, but just because I wasn't in the gym doesn't mean I don't know what happened in the gym. But yeah, EYBL over in North Augusta, that's Peach Jam. It's a little different this year. It's elongated. What is it, 13 days or whatever they're doing it. And I was just glancing at some of the standings. I've looked at some of the games here and there. I've seen a good number of the teams there now. I've seen them before they got there. Some of them I haven't seen, won't see, and don't need to see. And then there's some that, I know about what they have. And it just, EYBL, that's where everybody's going. That's where the coaches are got. You've got Dallas and Under Armour, excuse me. And then you've got Adidas out in Omaha. And so each one of the circuit things, and they're making, look, there was no circuit ball at all last year. Nobody was on the circuit last year. So a lot of the circuit people are making up for it. And, I look at it this way. You've got shoe teams, as they call them, for circuit ball, and you've got independent. Okay. There's hoopers everywhere, though. At some point, I'm entering my 14th year. You kind of see how it comes out. And sometimes the independents, they have the ability to play on the circuit, and then for other reasons, they're not. Georgia Stars is performing pretty well now, 17U out there. I think TSF 16U 2023 squad is playing pretty well. At the EYBL, and then of course Game Elite, a big Adidas affiliate that is doing very well out in Omaha. But there's another team out there, Midwest Club, that I got to see way back in May, and now they're making noise and people trying to figure out where they're coming from. And I'm telling you, you run an elevator, a pin down, or flex action, Reed Shepherd, Gabe Cups, they're gonna drop it. That's just how it is. So I've gotten to see them multiple times. So by the time you get into this July period, especially with what happened in Georgia this year with the high school period able to have 2 live weeks, you got to see a lot more. And then you had some out-of-state teams coming in. So now it's the 4th week. We're going into now the 5th week of the live period, and that's going to be it. But the coaches have been able, it gives them an opportunity to go and see multiple teams, multiple places. I think EYBL still is the standard. UA is doing a very good job, Under Armour Association, and the UA Rise for programs that want to get on that circuit and play for exposure, because that's what everybody yells, exposure. And then Adidas is doing pretty good. A lot of their formats have changed. I'm not familiar with all their formats. Circuit ball, once they get the circuit ball, I pay attention kind of with my left ear, my right ear, what did so-and-so do? Or if there was a name that I'm looking at, like Isaiah Collier, he's gone over to EYBL right now and is actually really atoned with his play from when he played back in June. So Gabe Cups has gone out to Nebraska. He's playing really well. London Johnson, who goes to Norcross, is playing well. And Gabe Cups, by the way, for people that are looking at me, that's Ohio, that's Centerville, that's championships. They do a very good job out there. Reed Shepherd on that squad as well, and his dad, Jeff Shepherd, former Kentucky basketball shooting great. So there have been a lot of things that go around. You mentioned Team Dickinson. Been in love with Team Dickinson. Their program, their structure, how they develop, how they do things. Noah Clowney has been good. Chaney has been good. I'm a big Keith Robbins fan. A lot of people know I love that guy. Wonderful point guard, has excelled with the jump shot, has picked it up defensively. So they always come good. Coach Stevens does a great job carrying on that legacy. Georgia Canes have done very well. They're 17 and 16s, and they're in a tricky situation where they're trying to find those guys that kind of got rough through the cracks or missed the offer, or trying to find them a home. They've played very well. So there are a number of individual independent programs. Legacy has played very well. That have solid players and key players, and they're still going to be playing in big time independent events this weekend. And you mentioned On the Radar, and that's one of the top independent circuits in the country.
Joe Hillsman, again, SUVTV, play-by-play broadcaster, grassroots specialist, Georgia high school basketball insider. I want to go over a couple names with you. I want to, I'm curious to know maybe if there are some guys that, like you talking about, slipping through the cracks and whatnot, and things of that nature. But of course, we got to make sure that we do our part by making sure that we're getting some bills paid with this thing. So it is maybe not nearly as much as what I would usually do in terms of more rapid fire, but we do call it quick release. It is sponsored by Exotics, and Exotics by Kurt Smith. Look good, feel good, play good. Look good, feel good, play great. Give your body what it deserves. ExoticsProducts.com. All 110% natural products, zero chemicals added. Make sure that you go and when you get everything that you need, get to that checkout line and hit that discount code. Put in Tate, get your 15% off. As you can see there at the bottom on the ticker, scrolling at the bottom there, all of the services amongst many, many more that are provided within. Let's start out with a couple of names. You talked a little bit about Isaiah Collier, as well as London Johnson. That's personally one of my favorites. Kind of want to get your take on them, but there are some guys over at some of these other St. Francis, some of your Seth Hubbards, and a couple of different names like that, Trenton Flowers and so forth. Amongst those names, give me a little bit of your breakdown on what you see from them in their games and how you project things to go for them this season, and maybe getting some more offers and where you can expect maybe for some of those to come from.
I don't think those guys will have to worry about offers. They will come. I think sometimes you got to remember you can only play for one school at a time. Yeah, you've got the transfer portal. I think, if you go out and you do what you got to do, you're going to get the attention. Trenton Flowers, I'm a big fan of Trenton Flowers. I think he's going to bring something to St. Francis with Seth Hubbard there. And then they've got a young one you might want to keep your mind on. It'll be Cameron Robinson. He'll be a sophomore. Probably won't jump out on the page this year, but he'll wind up with 4 or 5 steals a game in his limited time. But that'll be a name you'll need to know down the road. Really like what San Francisco is going to do, and going to look to see how Coach Armstrong now takes that program from Coach Catlett and pushes it forward. But I'm a big Trenton Flowers guy. I really think he can excel. Good 15-foot jumper, good body. Once he develops and matures, he's just going to be a sophomore. Future can be very, very bright for him. What other names you got?
All right, because we got one of the homies that kind of jumped in, wanted some love to be shown. I'm not sure. I've heard a little bit about Arrington. I'm not the most familiar. Maybe you could touch on that a little bit for over there at Core 4. Anthony Arrington, that is. And here's a list of some of the names here: Micah Bell, Jacoby Strozier, some of those. What is your kind of breakdown or analysis on some of those players?
I like all three of those guys. Jacoby Strozier kind of struggled in June with this Drew team during the live period. Heartbreak that they suffered in the state playoffs last year. But I like Jacoby Strozier. I think once he gets his wheel turning, he'll be back right. Anthony Arrington, I like it. Plays at Galloway, can put it in the bucket. I really like him. I know he's getting some offers from up your way in the mitten. And then Micah Bell can do some things. Listen, Coach Latham does an excellent job at Chapel Hill, and he's going to be able to help him and get him in a situation where he'll be able to help Chapel Hill make a run. Chapel Hill made an unprecedented run last year to the Final Four. This year, it might be just as unprecedented, but Michael Bell will have a lot to do with that with Coach Latham. So I like those three guys. I think that they can have very productive seasons, and each one of them, though, if they continue to step up defensively, that'll really take them to another level.
I want to pick your brain a little bit about a couple other guys from the Dickerson program that are on the 15U roster. Unsure how familiar you are, but what better person to ask than you? And that would be William Job, Darion Reed, and I'm sure that I have another one that I just can't think of. I'm sure it'll come back to me here in a second, but just kind of want to get your opinion on some of those guys.
I like Reed. I like Job. I haven't seen enough of them to break them down, but Darion Reed, I really like him. Of course, he's a Grovetown guy, so he plays for Coach Douglas, and I got to see them a couple of times and get a little bit more intel on how they play. But futures are very bright for them. 15U is going to be a very, very interesting class 2024 as it moves forward, because they're probably going to be, when their time comes, that's probably when everything will be very normal again, as far as recruiting and transfer portal and extra years and that type of thing. They're going to be a very interesting thing to see. So, Job, listen, I got to see him play April. I think that's when I really saw Dickerson 15U play. I think it was April. And I watched that game without a roster, which I'll do that a lot. I watch the game without a roster. I just want to see who actually really plays. And Job stood out to me. And of course, I knew who Darian Reed was. I think he has very good upside as well. And in that program, they can be very, very successful.
I want to ask you about another guy from over there at WD Muhammad, Bilal AbdurRahim, a point guard, a little bit on the quicker / speedier side. My personal opinion, good vision, ball handling, a little on the smaller side. And I think that that's pretty obvious. Outside of those things I mentioned, or including those things I mentioned, what are your takeaways in what you see from his game?
It gets listed at 5'10" generously.
Would you say generously?
Yeah, he gets listed at 5'10" very generously. Bilal AbdurRahim, can put it in the basket very quick. Plays with the Celtics. He's point guard by nature and has some good pieces with the WD Muhammad squad with John McQueen and Caleb Farr. So that'll help counteract some of the attention that he'll get. Very quick off the dribble, moves his feet very well. Defensively, how will he improve? I thought I would see a little bit more strip steal, deflections, those type of things. Think he can assist the basketball very well. But then the key is, and I say 5'10" generously, you can never measure the heart. But one of the things now is how will he be able to do or defend against length? How will they be able to defend against? How will he be able to play against a team that's defending him with elite defenders, 5 on the floor at a time? What kind of adjustments will they make? And as a team, do they have that? But then just him individually, is he able to counteract that length with quickness, drop off ability? Does he understand maybe tonight I need 15 and not 25? I need 15 and 10 versus 25 and 5, those type of things. But speedy guard. I know he gets a lot of talk, and WD Muhammad is not going to play that tough of a schedule. I haven't seen their final schedule, but it'll be interesting to see what they do and what he does against equal or greater competition consistently.
Probably just 2 or 3 more questions for you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule for just little old me, merely old Deshaun Tate, here on episode 91 of Tate's Take, where basketball is.
It's basketball, man. When I finish with you, I'm going to continue to do some stuff to get ready for this weekend. It's basketball.
Love. Khalil Green, I want to circle back around a little bit to that Team Dickerson program a little bit. Kid literally just turned 15 years old and make some things happen over there in Macon. Kind of want to get your take on Khalil Green, point guard for Dickerson 15.
Where is he going to high school in Macon? Stratford Academy. Okay. Last guy came out of Stratford was Jaden Harris, and he went up to Norcross. And Khalil has some good qualities, good attributes to him. Won't play tough competition at Stratford Academy, so he's going to have to do his work, on the 15U circuit this time next year, or maybe even before, maybe April or May at the early portion of the next travel season. We'll have a bigger picture of what he's got to do. I got to see Stratford play last year, so I learned about him there. But their bumping competition is going to determine how far. Once again, that's one of those things where you can see the talent and you can see the potential. What do you do against equal or greater competition consistently? And Stratford just does not play that level. That's not a knock on him. They just don't play that consistently, being in the lower private A. But he has an opportunity. Like I said, I'm a big Team Dickerson guy. I'm a big DeMond Stevens. I like what he does. He gets those guys in. He works them. He's an X and O guy, but he can also KYP you. He knows his personnel, and those things are beneficiary. And at Team Dickerson, you get better, plain and simple.
How about Sean Phillips? I've seen him on the circuit playing with the Georgia Stars a few weeks ago, whatnot. Can't remember exactly what school he is. I know formerly he was over with Imani Bates over at Ypsi Prep. Feeling like, is it Westlake? I'm not all the way 100% positive, or if he's going to return back to Ypsi Prep. But just from what you've seen from him, maybe some growth, maybe lack thereof, and how good of a prospect do you think that he'll ultimately be? Because I've seen some of his offers, and while they are really good, I think he probably can get some different ones in there. He's a really good talent.
What offers does he have? I'm not up to speed. I know who he is, but I'm not up to speed on his offers. What's his latest offers?
Yeah. I know that he most recently had some Cincy's, some Xaviers in there as well, a couple other ACCs and AAC programs in there as well.
Well, the Xavier tells me enough. That's Jonas Hayes doing what he does. I like Phillips. I'm not sure if he's going to go to Westlake or not. You and I are kind of in that same boat. I know at one point he was, and if the point guard was going to be able to come back, but I don't think that's going to be able to happen. So, but I like Phillips. Nice. Listen, I love the way the game is played now, but I love the way that it was played in the past as well. There's nothing wrong with feeding the post. And he got fed the post a couple of times, made a couple block moves from the left and the right, had a counter. He had a little jump hook to the left, got good boards, rim ran, defended, protected the basket, altered shots, blocked shots, took up space, and then scored. I think I got it here. I didn't want to flip through it. I have that game because I did 3 or 4 of their games, and he finished double-doubles every game, 16 and 12, 17 and 11, 5, 6 blocks here and there. So those offers there, I wasn't familiar with them, but, Xavier, that's Jonas Hayes. Cincinnati, that's Cam Dollar, that's Chad Dollar. So, those type of guys know talent when they see it, and they know how to evaluate it and put it in positions to be able to help them. I like Phillips, big upside, and if he just can stay consistent defensively and keep a counter move and have a nice guard that's not afraid to give it to him, because he can score with his back to the basket on either block, left or right. Very good future in front of him.
Last and final question for you between these two guys. First of all, the first one being Scooter Henderson. We heard about the decision that he made, deciding to go the G League route and being the youngest player ever to do so out of high school. And then outside of that, the guy that I think is maybe certainly either heard a lot about or not being talked about enough, and that is, we talked about Sandy Creek, and that's Jabari Smith. And I'm not sure that I haven't heard anybody say that this guy is an easy one-and-done prospect and expected to be taken in the lottery next round. I don't want to jump too far ahead in regards to conversations about that, as much as I would.
That's like not jumping ahead.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is I do want to see what he looks like on the collegiate level. Talk to me about what we can expect from him on that side, because he is a prospect that everybody's kind of either been talking about or not talking about nearly enough, but I certainly think is really good. I want to see him at the next level. What's your takeaway?
How can I say this modestly? He's a lottery pick.
No. Say it. Okay.
He's a lottery pick. He's a top 10 pick. And now from there, depending on team needs, that'll filter the rest out. I hate getting into he's a top 5. That team might not need him. We'll take the best team available. There's so many moving parts in the draft. People just do not understand that. No, Jabari Smith is a big time talent. A lot of people here gonna hang the thing on him that he didn't win a state championship. Okay, fine. If that's what you want to hang on him, fine. I know one thing: he fishing a barrel from 17 to 19 feet. He can score with his back to the basket. He's long. Once he bulks up, he's never gonna be big, but once he tones up and puts that muscle on, gonna be very tough. Now, what do you want to see at Auburn? Listen, his numbers are not gonna be all world at Auburn. Have you seen Auburn's roster? If he gets 10-7, that's going to be fine. He's going to be playing with Walker Kessler. They've got the guards coming in, KD Johnson. Auburn might not have to have anybody scoring double figures all season, because they'll have 8 or 9 or 10 guys that are all between 8 and 9 points. Jabari will be effective. Jabari will do a wonderful job. Bruce Pearl, I joked with him a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, I'm only probably going to have him for this year, so I got to have some fun with him. Like, those are toys in the toy box there. Like, if you're Ernie from Sesame Street, you just got toys. You just play with them all over the place. Jabari is going to be an outstanding basketball player, outstanding person. He'll refine some things at the collegiate level. It'll be good to see him adjust to night in and night out competition in the college regimen. But, I mean, the guy's a pro's pro. He's going to be a pro. If he's not a pro, then the system is broken. Scooter Henderson, listen, I think that Scoot, have you seen his arms? I mean, he's got the longest wingspan and the biggest hands of anybody. Scooter's a very talented young man. I think it was I like his decision to go ahead and go to the G League. If that's what you wanted to do, go ahead and do it. I think he's talented enough to do it. I think he's also now going to see that's the professional life, and he's able to go and play basketball and work on his game every day, 7-8 hours a day. He will have some highs in the G League. He will have some lows. He will have some highs. He will have some lows. But once you get through that and fight through that adversity, if Scooter can get the jump shot consistent, if he can consistently shoot 43%, 44% from the field, it is a problem. Can he get to the hoop? Yes, he can. Finish with the left or the right. He can get to the basket. He can beat you off the dribble anyway. If the jumper becomes very consistent, he becomes unguardable. His length defensively is his biggest attribute, and he'll poke it out, start to break off a strip steal, and he'll go down and dunk. Future very bright. Look for some ups and downs in the G League, getting adjusted to the professional life. But I think that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. He'll learn, but I'm going to say it one more time. If his jumper becomes consistent, 17 to 21 feet, and of course, with the NBA line, 23-9, if he hits a couple of those, fine. But if he has a consistent 17 to 20-foot jumper, yeah, buddy, going to be trouble. Scooter's a very, very talented player, and I think
Joe, I know.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you was going to stop me and ask me something. I mean, I like Scooter. Scooter can play. Scooter's a very talented young man.
I know I said we was going to get you up out of here. You got 2 more minutes?
Man, go, man. I got time. It's basketball.
USA dominates Spain just on yesterday, 83-76. Up next is France later on this week, followed by Iran, and then there's a to be determined before they start getting to some medal play. From what it is that you've seen from them so far, and of course they don't have the complete roster with the Booker, and I think they're missing somebody else. I think Middleton, I believe it is. Just from what you've seen, from what are your expectations, I guess is the question, that you have for this team coming up on this year, maybe some of the concerns that you may have or lack thereof.
You said they're missing some players. They're not missing any players. They got 12 NBA players. NBA's best league in the world, right? So you got 12 NBA players. The expectation for the U.S. is always the goal. They'll win the goal this year. They'll find a way to win it. But if they don't play any defense, if they do not play any defense, and this is listen, I love the NBA. Nothing will top it. I love EuroLeague. I love the NBL, but I love FIBA officials. They are not calling everything, and I need young men coming up to see that. NBA is kind of soft in some ways. They'll give you the little touch fouls. Yeah. National play, you got to play through it, and that's the way it should be, because ain't always gonna give you the call in the backyard or at the blacktop. So I don't care if you've earned it or not. I don't care what your contract is. So they've got to play through that, get through that, and then they've got to defend. If they defend, they're just fine. I didn't see the game against Spain. I saw the Nigeria debacle. I saw the Argentina debacle, or Australia debacle. I saw no defense. They did not defend. If they defend, they'll be fine. Defend and rebound. They got enough scoring. Lillard and Levine and Durant, they got enough scoring. They have to defend.
Maybe for some people, I've kind of tossed it around a little bit. Maybe some concerns about leadership, maybe even that point guard position that is essentially the quarterback on the basketball court as well. Last but certainly not least, and I promise we'll get you up out of here. Game 6.
They're pros. They'll figure it out. They're pros. Like if it's that hard for those 12 guys,
no need for a natural point guard, Hillsman, I guess, right?
Give it to Lillard. Let him run the point and get out the way. It's not rocket science. But this is also a reflection of how American basketball has shifted. Everybody says positionless players. No, everybody is a 2 through a 4 now. You don't have a dominant 5. You don't have a true point guard 1. And that's because you followed the European model of the finesse. But now you realize Europeans were a lot more physical than we thought. But they're fine. They're NBA pros. They can figure it out. They're good enough to be on the ball and defend. I think Grant is gone or whatnot. Beal is out. Love is out. JaVale is in. JaVale might be the thing that helped him most. You know, a lot of people don't realize his mom's an Olympian and a gold medalist. So Lillard's there. Levine
Keldon
is there.
Johnson,
Johnson's there. Durant is there. And I mean, at the end of the day, if you need a bucket, give it to Durant.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes perfect sense. I want to know who you're going to give this win to. A little more than 24 hours away. Game 6, NBA Finals. Obviously, the Bucks is up 3-2. I'm not sure a ton of people really expected it. Going back to Milwaukee is going to be tough for Phoenix to do. I think that they can do it. What says you?
Thinking they can do it and doing it is two different things. You lost the last 2 games by boneheaded turnovers. Chris Paul with a turnover on the left wing and then Devin Booker driving in. The Suns are still the better basketball team. They just have lost 3 straight, but now they put themselves in an elimination situation. I think they can win Game 6. I think they can win Game 7. I think if the Bucks are going to win the series, they better win it in 6. I don't think they're going to win twice in Phoenix. But I also like the way Chris Middleton is playing. Middleton doesn't get his just due. Listen, that's Porter God. That's out of Charleston, South Carolina. Those guys put out hoopers. And if you want to know somebody else that came out of Porter God, here's a name drop for you. Naismith for the Celtics. That's a Porter God guy as well. Nobody's talking about him right now. He'll be around. He'll get contract extension. So there's your little nugget on Porter God High School out of Charleston, South Carolina. Drew Holiday has been doing this, got to cover him for a long time when Monty was there in New Orleans. Drew is just nothing that I'm seeing in the finals from anybody is surprising. Phoenix not closing these last 2 games have been a bit of interesting measure. And Phoenix kind of got away what they want. I know they want Booker to kind of be the guy and all of this. Chris Paul had the turnover in Game 4. I would have still had Chris Paul with the ball in Game 5. Paul with the ball is what you need to do. And I believe kind of, sort of in a way, and a lot of people are going to be like, well, that doesn't matter. But the Sark injury kind of now is showing its head. Yeah, he wasn't going to play a lot, but it kind of freed up Aiden. It kind of gave them 6 fouls there. Craig is doing what he's having to do. They tried the Kaminsky thing, but Monty Williams is going to figure it out because Bud has a very good squad. But if Milwaukee does not win it in 6, Phoenix will win it in 7. I think they still can win it. They've got to play cohesive basketball as a team. Giannis is going to get his. You know Middleton is going to get his. Now you can't let Pat Connaughton and you cannot let Drew Holiday be the guys now to add to that fire. Paul's got to play well. Booker's got to play well. Aiden's got to play well. And Jay Crowder's going to step up defensively.
Just getting ready to say the exact same thing. Jay Crowder, kind of that junkyard dog, if you will, type of guy that always appears on some of these teams that can always go very far in the postseason. Joe Hillsman, SUVTV, play-by-play broadcaster. If you haven't heard him yet, make sure that you not only give him a follow, but that you go and check out some of the phenomenal work that he does over there at SUVTV. Grassroots Specialist, as you guys have already heard, he's run it down. Hope you guys consider yourself educated a little bit more now, especially in regards to Georgia high school hoops. Even gave you guys some notable things from some guys around the country, and Georgia high school basketball insider as well. At Jay Hillsman, at JHILLSMAN. Bro, I appreciate you for joining me on the program today, and looking forward to hopefully doing it again sooner and later.
Hey, not a problem, man. Anytime, man. Keep doing what you're doing. Good to see you in the gym. Good to see you in the gym. I haven't seen you in the gym in a while. And you were walking around with a notebook. Names in the notebook. Yeah. Hashtag in the notebook. Hey, appreciate you having me, man. And yeah, I'll be around.
Of course, your boy got to keep his handy dandy notebook, man. Jay Hills, man, I appreciate you, big dog. Thank you very much. Appreciate my dude Jay for joining us here on the program and educating and gracing us with his presence, blessing us with his presence, I guess you would call it, if you will. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I got some more interviews is going to be coming up relatively sooner than later, and got some really awesome guests. Of course, you never know who you're going to get here on this particular program. So instead of just flipping through and Deshaun Tate's live again today, just happened to brush past it a little bit. If you can always appreciate this kind of content, information, education, things like that, make sure you go and subscribe and tell everybody to do it. Tell your mama, tell your grandmama, tell your baby mama where they can find the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and of course, the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. It's called Tate's Take. Go and subscribe anywhere you find your favorite podcast. Also streaming live on YouTube, as well as on Periscope, on Twitch, on Facebook, and go and follow on all social media platforms at Tate's Take Hoops, TATES, TAKEHOOPS, hashtag where basketball lives. Suns in 7. Talk to you later. Bye.